So we will talk about FIASM. Before talking for the FIASM, you are already aware on which layer it works?
Layer 7.
Layer 7. Right. And since it work on layer 7, you should be aware about the protocol which is maximum utilized on the layer 7, which is HTTP.
Yes, sir.
HTTP means the full form of HTTP is Hypertext
Transfer
Transfer
protocol.
Protocol. So this is the protocol which is used for the communication between your web servers or web browsers. So if you are accessing any of the application, okay, over the web means you are utilizing HTTP. And maximum of us are using HTTP or HTTPS means same thing, right?
Right.
Now, if I will gonna talk about over the years, several version of HTTP has been deployed, and with each of its improvement and features, it will keep on, having different version. The very first version was HTTP. Any idea?
HTTP 1.
0.9. So this was the first version. Okay.
Yes,
It
sir.
was extremely simple, only supported your GET request. You are aware about this GET request? If no, it's all right. I will gonna talk about these methods also in a moment. Okay. So it only support the GET request and did not include any headers. So when you see your HTTP request, okay, by going into maybe your this developer tool, you can see the HTTP has a lot of headers included, right?
Right.
One of the header, if you talk about, I explained in the LTM class, XFF,
Yes.
XFF.
To know,
Remember?
yes. So that we can remember, means come to know the source IP. Where it,
Yes. That is what. Correct. So it's only one header I am talking about. But if you see, let me just go to the netminion.net. Okay. Before opening it, I am just opening my Control Shift I, my developer tool. When I hit this button, okay, I am in the networking field now. And if you see any of the request, maybe the first request, if you see, can you see there is a button named as headers?
yes.
And in these headers, you can see there are lot of headers included, and it varies depending upon application to application. Sorry. Okay. So it varies depending upon application to application. If you aware in the I rule, I explained about the user agent,
Yes, sir. I remember.
right? So what is this? This is your header. Then you can preview the request. You can see the response. Okay. So you can see the cookies, timing. There are a lot of things into it. Probably we will explore that later on. But I hope what I am trying to tell currently, you are aware about it that HTTP 0.9 was very simple, extremely simple, and only supported your GET request, did not include any of the header, which are the integral part of your modern HTTP requests. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, after HTTP 0.9, the next version which was launched was 1.0. Okay. Now, this method or this version added some more supports, like some of the post method, if you are aware about. Okay. It now it's supported. Then headers, it keep on supported, and the status code also. So about these methods, headers and status code, probably going forth I will be gonna explain you, don't worry. So however, it still required a new connection for each request and response, which could lead to the slow performance for your website with multiple resource. Okay, what I said, that if there is a user, this is your server. For every page, it required a new request and the response, right? Required a new connection for each request and response. So this was your HTTP 1.0. Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Let's proceed. Next version was HTTP 1.1. Okay. Now when 1.1 introduced, it introduced with several significant improvement over your HTTP 1.0. Those are including, like, I can just talk about your persistence connection.
Persistence connection in what sense, sir? Means,
In HTTP 1.1, multiple request and response can be sent over a single TCP connection, not required multiple, like as I was telling earlier. Every time TCP handshake is not required.
okay,
Okay,
like one connect profile.
you can say like that. Okay, so it has the persistence connection. Then it included something named as host header, which allows multiple websites to be hosted on the same server with each request specifying the target host name. Okay, although these are related to some kind of development side, but you will feel like when I am teaching you FI ASM, little bit I will be gonna talk about, development part also, little bit, not much. Okay, then it introduced one feature named as pipelining. Okay, so pipelining means multiple requests can be sent without waiting for the previous response. It means it is improving your performance. Okay,
Right.
then it added one more feature. What was that? Chunked transfer encoding. Okay, this enables streaming of the response and more efficient use of resource. So overall, if I will talk about, this provides a lot of improvement for your HTTP 1.0 version. Is this part clear? We were discussing about what? HTTP, right?
Yes.
Now, HTTP next version was 2. Okay. It is designed to address performance bottleneck of your HTTP even version 1.1. See, what happened is whenever you do any work, right, you have little knowledge. With little knowledge, you publish something. Then you try to keep on iterating or keep on improvement your own work also, right? Similarly, the people who are using HTTP or who are developing HTTP, they used to see that, okay, these versions are having such and such problem, and they are keep on iterating their previous protocol. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So here also same law is applying. So then HTTP2 is come into the market, which introduce couple of more features like your multiplexing. Okay, is more streamlined now, that multiple request and response can be sent concurrently over a single connection. Okay, very important, multiplexing. So concurrently your same, like if you wanted to utilize couple of the resource from the same website, on a single connection it can do the multiplexing. Multiple requests can go and response can come over a single connection. Then it start your header compression, which reduce overhead by the compressing your headers. Okay, it introduced your binary protocol. So binary protocol format improved your parsing efficiency. Okay, and lot of other features it added, but at least you should aware that how many protocols are working nowadays. Okay,
Okay.
after that you have HTTP 3. So let me tell you, for your ASM course, these things are not required. Okay,
Okay, sir.
this is extra thing which I am telling you,
Right.
and this thing you should be aware of. Okay, let us say if you are going in the market for an interview and they are asking how many HTTP versions are there, at least you should aware that how many HTTP versions are currently in the market. Then HTTP 3 is the latest major version available for your HTTP. And again, it is aimed to improve the performance further and further and address the limitation of your TCP. In this, the major, the difference is it uses quick transfer protocol. Okay, quick transfer protocol, which it is using, it can use for the UDP also, and it can used for the earlier it was used for the UDP, but now it is designed to be faster and more efficient for your TCP connection. Okay, ultimately, see, HTTP lower layer is TCP only, right?
Right, sir.
Then same multiplexing, what I am introducing multiplexing. Okay, they just did the more robust for the multiplexing. Okay, for your concurrent request and response. Then they improve some of the security feature. Okay, so they just added some of the security because cyber attacks are evolving day by day. So just they added some of the security. So you need to aware that as the growth for or demand for HTTP versions are increasing, with the adoption of that HTTP version 2 and 3 is really growing very fast. Is there any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Let me talk about, since I was mentioning, the get method or something. So you should aware that when you are using HTTP, okay, HTTP again, hypertext transfer protocol, it defines several request methods, or you can say HTTP method indicate the desired action to be performed on your URL. So these method will determine how a web server will handle that particular request. So if you are a user, you are coming up with some of the method, let us say get or let us say post. So in the both of the methods, for server will understand that what you wanted to do. Are you getting my point? Now, this get method is what? Get method is very simple method which you use to, you use it every day. So get method is used to request data from the specific resource to pull out some data. It only retrieve data and does not have any other effect on the server. So it don't bother the server in any way, only retrieve data. Okay, retrieve the data. I'm talking about guest. Very safe, right? And your multiple request can go to the server on the single page also. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So get method is to retrieve the data. Now let's talk about the post. So in case of your post method is used to submit the data. Okay.
Okay.
It can be used to create new resource, update existing one, or perform other server side action, right? Like if somebody is asking for your username and password, right? And you are filling that field, this request will go as a post.
Post.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is post. Now, similarly, there can be lot of the one, but I will be gonna talk about very little, okay? Because we are not here to produce some kind of, development part, but you should aware about couple of them that I am talking about. Like put. Put method is used to update a resource or create a new resource if it does not exist. Like in post, username and password is there already, right? And you are again posting it. Same work put is also doing, but put is demanding that it should not be there already. Okay, it means you are not able to create the same. Okay, then there can be patch. There can be one. Okay, what you should be aware of, delete. Delete method is used to request the removal of some kind of resource from that particular server. So it is used to delete a resource on the server. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So delete method is there. Then you have the method like head, you have the method like options, you have the method like connect, you have the methods like trace. Okay. So these are your all the methods available on, like whenever some application team wanted to do something, then they will use such of the methods, and by default on your ASM only couple of the methods are available. What are those? I will teach you in the class. Okay, not all methods are allowed because it is also a potential risk on the application. Now later on when you will come for the Python, I will gonna talk about it. But let me introduce one term for you, that is CRUD. Have you heard about this term, CRUD?
No, sir.
CRUD is an acronym for create, okay, read, update, and delete. Okay. So it represents the four basic operations that can be performed on the data in most of the database management system and your web application. So either one can create something, right? Create is the action like when you need to create or adding some data records. Read means you are reading that data records. Update means it is already there, but you are updating it, right? And delete means you are deleting that particular thing. So CRUD operations are the fundamental to the functionality of many software application and in your REST APIs. Okay. So in your REST API calls, you use these four methods very much. What is REST API call?
API is used to fetch the information from that particular application.
Not only to fetch the information. See, okay, let me tell you. So when I am saying about REST, it means representational state uh, transfer protocol. Okay, this is representational state transfer application programming interface. Okay, what it allows is to interact with your web service or application over the HTTP thing. So API use this method CRUD, and using CRUD, it will use get method, it will use post method, it will use put method, or it will use delete method.
Okay.
Okay, like if you wanted to get something, it will, you can just use get and whatever your URL is. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Similarly post, similarly put, or all of these things. So get I already explained, put post I already explained. So these methods they will it will use, and it will give you that specific information. It means using the REST API calls, you can use a lot of functions. You can construct your request using these methods, specify the URL to interact with your resource, and you can include any necessary data or header in the request if required,
Right, sir.
like some kind of tokens. Okay, authentication tokens I am talking about. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is the basic or fundamental concept I am talking about, right?
Right.
Which you should be aware of before starting FIUASM. See, FIUASM I will be gonna teach you and you will understand it, don't worry. But before that, you should be aware about the basic functionality of any of the application. No,
Yes, sir. Like you build the
right,
basic part for GTM.
Ri-
Navigation process.
right. So now let's talk about HTTP status codes. Are you aware about this? See, these are your 3-digit number returned by the web server. When you are interacting to the web server, you will get this 3-digit number in response to the client's request. These codes are the part of your HTTP protocol and provide the information about the outcome of that specific request. And these HTTP codes falls into your several categories. Like when you are receiving some number which is starting with 1, and in the later on it can be anything like 100. Okay, 100. These all codes, when it is returned by the server, you can understand that it is regarding the some information. So we can say it is informational. So informational indicate that the request was received and understood. Then
Right.
you can have some code like 2xx, which generally means successful. Okay, so this code indicate that the request was successfully received and understood. Majorly you see 200. Okay, that request is successful. Server has written the requested data. It can be 201 also. It means request is successful and the new resource is created.
Okay.
Right, it
Right.
can be 204 also, maybe multiple. I am just gonna talk about few of them which is useful in our case. So 204 means no content, the request is successful but there is no response body to return. Okay,
Right.
201 is created. Now 204 is no content. Are you with me?
Yes.
Understanding this, right?
Yes.
Similarly, you can have something related to the 3xx. Basically, these codes are for your redirection purpose. So what it means? It indicates that further action is needed by the client to complete the request. Like 301, you can see a lot. If you remember, 302 code I put during your HTTP fallback profile. Remember, when when on my F5 LTM some request was coming and my backend pool member, I make them down. And my this request, instead of giving the error, I just redirected it to the netminion.net. Remember that? There I specified a code 302.
Okay.
No, do you remember it?
No, sir. I'm not able to recollect it.
You forget, huh? It's all right. This topic you can see in the HTTP profile where I talked about fallback option. Okay.
Okay.
So there I explicitly mentioned the status code is 302. 302 found means the resource has been temporarily moved to a different URL and the client should use the new URL for the request.
Okay.
Right? So
Right.
temporarily. But 301 means moved permanently. So the resource has been permanently moved to the some different URL.
Right.
These two parts are clear to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you can have some response codes related to the 4xx. So these status code indicate that the client has made an error in the request and the server cannot fulfill it. Client error. We can say this is client error. Like 400, you can see means bad request. The request was malformed or has an invalid syntax. Like 401, unauthorized. See, you are sending the data to such a page which you are not okay with. So server will send 401. Authentication is required, bro. You need to put the credentials. Either the credentials are missing or you are putting invalid. 403, forbidden. The client is authenticated but does not have permission to access the requested resource. 404, not found. The request resource what you are sending on the server is not there. I don't know what you are sending to me. Okay. So
Yes.
these
Yes.
all things server will tell to the client. So in like, see now it's very easy. When you are going somewhere and somebody is not giving you the way, so the way you press the horn is also got changed. No.
Right.
So that is the status code that you are trying to explain to him that, okay, give me the site, bro. I want to go. Right. So similarly, server is also sending those kind of response to the client and trying to tell that, okay, what is the thing you need to taken care of. So far, any doubt?
No, sir. Clear.
Good. Now let's talk about 5xx, which is the last one. Okay. This is server error. So this time server is saying it's my error. This status code indicate that this error is due to the server side processing, like 500, usually for the bad gateway. A generic server error occurred that prevented it from fulfilling the request. 502, sorry, 502 is the bad gateway. 500 is internal server error. Internal server error. Okay. So this is generic as I told you to fulfilling the request. Bad gateway means while acting as a gateway or the proxy received an invalid request from the upstream server. Or you can have service unavailable 503. That okay. Server is currently unable to handle the request due to temporarily overloading or maybe due to your maintenance. So these are your commonly encounter HTTP status code, which you should be aware. Okay.
Right.
Now we talk about the HTTP codes. We talk about the HTTP methods. Right. We talk about the HTTP versions. Right. Okay. Perfect. So far, any doubt to you? Please ask.
No, sir. That's clear.
Clear, huh?
Clear.
Okay. Good, good. Now, when I talk about F5 ASM, which is Application Security Manager, is now referred as the F5 Advanced WAF. WAF means Web Application Firewall.
Right.
So, this uh, this provide you a wide range of sophisticated and comprehensive security features that is designed to protect your web application from variety of advanced threat. So you are a user, or let us say this is an hacker, the bad guy, okay, and it is trying to do a lot of attacks on the web server. What you will be gonna do, you will put an F5 ASM in between. Okay, now this F5 ASM will remove or mitigate all of the attacks which should not be reaching there to the web server. Is this fine?
Yes, sir.
Great. So, as I was telling you, your FIASM provides a different range of the sophisticated and the comprehensive security feature to protect the web application from the variety of the advanced threat. It can be behavioral analytics, it can be comprehensive analytics, real time, and lot of. But before discussing that, I would like to talk about one more thing, that is OWASP top 10. Have you heard about the term OWASP?
Yes, sir. Was vulnerabilities.
Perfect. See, OWASP top 10 refer to the list of top 10 most critical web application risk that identified by your OWASP. OWASP is nothing but is your non-profitable organization that focus on improving the security of softwares. And OWASP top 10 is the list which is updated periodically, okay, to reflect the evolving landscape of your web application security threats. So far, any doubt?
No, sir. Clear.
Now, when I am talking about OWASP top 10, there it this list will be keep on updating. Like earlier, it was came in 2013, then 2017, and now 2021. So approximately in each 3 or 4 years, they used to update this whole complete list, right? And this list will be, talking about the top 10 injection like attacks, which can be injection attacks, broken authentication, broken access control, and a lot of things, right? So that we will be gonna discuss now. I hope you are from the security background, you are aware about these terms, but even then, if you have some issue, you do let me know. Let me bring up a picture here. You can see that picture, right?
Right.
Now, if you see in 2017, these were the 10 attacks. In 2021, these are the 10 attacks. Whereas when you see these lines, it is showing the shuffling. Okay. What
Right.
happened is, let us say one attack can shuffle to the another position. If you see here, the broken access control in 2017, it was on the position 5. But in 2021, it jumped to the position number 1.
Right.
OAups top 10, right? In OAups top 10, I was talking about that they used to shuffle the, attack. So what happened is this list is created through a community driven process. Okay. So what happened? Multiple of the security expert and the professional access the real world data and try to trend them or identify them with the most critical or the common web application risk. And using that, they provided this kind of ranking. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if you see, there are 10 attacks which is now shuffled and 3 of them are showing as new, right? Let me tell you, they are not completely new. As I was mentioning for the HTTP versions earlier, similarly here also they iterated the previous version. Got it? So
Okay.
now in the addition, let us say this. Earlier it was insecure deserialization, but now this changed to the software and data integrity failures, which means this part is already included without any doubt, but some more modification is added down. Similarly, you can see this XSS cross-site scripting. The new name for the same is now injection injection attack. No. Injection was earlier also there. Injection is there. Okay, maybe I will see. Okay, what is the new name? When I will talk about these terms, I will able to tell you. Okay. So these things are, you should be aware that how the things are gonna change. Okay.
Right.
Now let's talk about the very first attack now. The first attack is what?
For injection that 2017 or 2021 we are considering.
Right. Just give me Vishal. What I was mentioning that these attacks are very important to understand. Why? Tell me. Because
Because
because you are working as an FI ASM manager, right? Or engineer, whatever you say. For the same, you should be aware that what all kind of attacks are there and how you need to protect your web application.
right, sir.
Getting my point? So when we are talking about the very first attack, which is broken access control, this means that currently it is mentioned that 94% of the web application are exploitable to this broken access control. Access control means what? See, in day-to-day life, we used to do this access control. How? Let us say if we have L1 team, we provide them read-only access, right? L2 team, maybe some kind of operator role. Maybe L3 team, we used to provide them full access, right?
Right.
Access control is nothing, but you can say it is an authorization. It is an authorization. So authorization means a security measure that make resource available to the user that he or she should have access to and deny the access to the user who should not have that access. That is your authorization, no?
Right.
So broken access control occur when an issue with the access control enforcement allow a user to perform some actions which is not into his or her limits. So you can say it is misuse of your access control. And when somebody has the misuse, they can do some kind of unauthorized access to the sensitive information. They can maybe create some inappropriate or maybe delete some kind of, good resources. There can be forceful browsing, there can be privilege escalation, and all of these attacks can happen when you are having broken access control attack. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Means they are just what we can say the L1 engineer is uh, there is a
See,
term I'm not able.
don't think about the L1 engineer. Okay, think about some hacker is there. Okay, that hacker, let us say if you are going to the Amazon, okay, you are going to the Amazon, the privilege what you got for the Amazon and the privilege what the Amazon developer have are the same.
No, that different.
That cannot be. Now let us say there is a hacker and that get the privilege of the developer. Now one item was of let us say 10 lakh, okay, or more maybe a bulk of iPhones they are sending, okay, and he just changed this value to 1000. See
Right.
what a blunder it is, no?
Right.
And it can do a lot of unauthorized thing, okay, when it come to the broken access control. I just give one of the simple example, but I hope you are understanding what I am trying to tell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
Now when you talk about F5 ASM or advanced WAF, it provides the mechanism to mitigate and protect against attacks that exploit your broken access control using something named as attack signatures. Attack signature by its own is a complete chapter or a topic you can say, which I will be gonna talk about in 2 hours. Okay, but for now you can understand attack signature is bit like ACL. You can relate to ACL. Okay,
Yes.
your typical ACL do what? It used to check, okay, there is a permit statement, there is a deny statement, and depending upon that permit and deny statement, it takes that kind of actions accordingly. Similarly, you can, for now, you can think attack signature is bit like the ACLs provided by the F5 to allow or disallow variety of the access or you can say the request on your application server. Got this point?
Yes, sir.
Secondly, later on, see, all of these steps will come later on. Okay, what I am explaining now, because our ASM is not started yet. I am building your basic fundamentals, right? So I will be using some terms which maybe you are not aware of, but don't worry about that. Okay, we will gonna cover them also in some time, maybe in some classes, I will say.
No.
Then on ASM, you can allow or you can disallow the URLs. Let us say there is some admin URL. Okay, disallow it. So that if somebody is coming, okay, with that admin request, you can just disallow that. So you can allow or disallow lot of URLs. So let us say some of the important URLs are there which you don't want to expose to the public. What happened is if some hacker, okay, let us say this is the bad guy, the hacker, and it wanted to utilize some of the admin admin URL. So even when F5 WAF will see this, F5 will WAF will not forward this request to the server, but before that it will stop this request and generate a support ID. Support ID is something you can say a version or a number. Okay, again I would be gonna talk about these terms later on, but for now you can say that whenever F5 WAF will stop any request, user is able to see some kind of ID. That is a number which is displayed in front of him, and that number will show that okay, your request is blocked. You please check with your team. So that support ID means that you are not authorized to access this thing due to n number of attacks. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So you can allow or disallow different of the URLs. Then I was what I was talking about the okay, to protect against your broken access control, right? You can put allow or disallow the file types. Let us say if somebody is wanted to execute some exe file, or maybe Python file, or maybe some bin file, or such files which your normal user should not. You can tell into your file type that these file types are not allowed. Okay, or you can just put the allowed files only, so that your ASM will block rest of the file. Got this point?
Yes.
Now there is a feature named as CORS, cross origin resource sharing. Okay, this feature enable one website to access the resource of another website using some kind of JavaScript within the browser. Okay,
Okay.
now using this feature also, this broken access control can be invoked. And using your application security manager, you can safely tell that in which condition this course should be used and where it should not be used. Are you with me?
Yes.
So it is a security feature implemented by your web browser also, that controls and manages how your web page in one domain can interact with the resource hosted in another domain. Let us say you are on the NetMinion, and when you wanted to check the CCNA blueprint, when you are clicking over there, it is navigating you to the Cisco. So one domain is going to the another domain. Let me tell you, CORS, this feature is a crucial part of your web security, as it helps to prevent your malicious website from the making unauthorized request to the web server on different domain. Okay.
Okay.
So here you need to provide that, okay, what all domains are allowed. Like that. Make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I hope you are back, Vishal.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm back.
Fine, fine. Now let's talk about the second attack, which is your cryptographic failure, right? See what happened when attacker often your target sensitive data, let us say your password, let us say your credit card number, personal information. Okay, and you don't have any mechanism to properly protect them. Then in that case, your cryptographic failure can occur, which mean to say it is the root cause for your sensitive data exposure. And according to your OAuth Top 10 2021, securing your data against some cryptographic failures is really very important than ever. So what happened is, let us say when you are storing this data, don't store this data in the clear text. Okay, so these all things, when it come to the security, it doesn't mean that only FI ASM team need to be taken care. Okay, the security will go hand in hand with your ASM team and with your application team also. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So this your ASM team need to sorry, this your application team need to see that they don't store any data in the clear text format, or even they do not put some kind of weak encryption. The encryption should be good. And when they are transmitting data, okay, there should not be the flow in the system when they are using such kind of data. Okay, they should use the systems which are really very robust. Now, if I will talk about big IP LTM, okay, even in the LTM we put SSL profile for HTTPS. Remember what
Yes.
was that? That is for the encryption, right? Then
Yes.
I talked about HSTS. Remember? Again, it forces all communication through the HTTPS only to ensure your web browsing should be secure. So these things will come into the picture when you are talking about cryptographic failures. So again, if you talk about ASM, you can put attack signature in any of the attack majorly. Okay. So attack signature is one, and one feature is named as data guard. Data guard will come into the picture here, which mask your important information as the asterisk. like your credit card or any other information. So there are some regex available, regular expression, which you can use and utilizing in this case. Any doubt?
No, sir. So one thing, we are going to check all these things in lab, right? These features. We are going to test it.
Data guard, yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about next, it is injection attack. Majorly in injection attack, we used to talk about SQL injection because that is very much exposed. But it can be any OS injection attack, maybe Java injection attack, LDAP injection attack, XML parser, SMTP headers. Lot of injection attack can be there. Injection attack means you are injecting something. Very dangerous attack, most dangerous attack when your attacker is simply sending some kind of malicious data to make the application process it and do something which it is not supposed to do, right?
Right.
So that is your injection attack. Now let us say if we talk about the SQL injection, what happen is on your web server there is username and password. When you are putting it, okay, you will interact with the DB server, the database server, right?
Right.
So before that, let me just also talk about one more thing. When user is interacting with any of the website, in that website there are some of the functions, like first of all is the web server, okay, where there are some static pages are there, and it can interact with those static pages directly. Then there would be an application server which is come for different of, maybe you can say, logical representation. Let us say if in your account information there is 1 crore, and if there is Rohan or somebody else, he is only having 1000. How? And these are segregated using some kind of application flow, or the logics are there which used to distinguish between these things. Then there is DB server which actually store all the information, right? So these are the three basic fundamental blocks of any of the application, and when you are interacting with application servers, they will interact with each other, right? Now when they are interacting with each other, there is different of the different, maybe you can say, languages can be come into the picture to use them. And generally when you are interacting with your database, there is structured query language will come into the picture, SQL, where you can do some little bit of SQL query, okay, or some kind of scripts you can run. So these are the legitimate things, but when some hacker is sending it on your behalf and that script is successful, there can be a loss of information and there can be a loss of reputation also, right? So SQL injection means somebody is sending SQL attack, and if that SQL attack happen, it can go with some of the PIE, which, or maybe some of the data it can retrieve, or maybe it can do a lot of things, right? Which he or she is not supposed to. Got this point?
Right, sir.
Now, in your big IP, you need to restrict this. So there are lot of, attack signatures come into the picture for the same. Okay, like buffer overflow, command execution, okay, maybe XSS, cross-site scripting, LDAP injection, path traversal, SQL injection, server-side code injection. These all attack signatures will come into the picture when you need to mitigate this vulnerability. Got this point?
Yes.
So it is very important here, which is your SQL injection. I hope that is clear to you, right?
It's
Good. Now, there is something named as evasion techniques, right? So, what are the evasion technique is that in the context of your cyber security, you can say these are the methods used by the attackers to evade detection or avoid triggering security measures. So, you can say these are the techniques to maybe make malicious activities or the payload appear like the benign means safer thing, okay.
yes.
So they can do some kind of encoding, they can do some kind of fragmentation, they can do some kind of protocol level evasion. Okay, maybe delays can be added, or 0-day exploits they can use for user agent spoofing. Now, in your FIASM also, the evasion techniques can be detected. This violation can be triggered. Okay, big IP system. What happened is big IP system do two things. First, let me talk about normalization. Right. So normalization is the process to decode requests that are encoded. Getting my point?
Yes.
So the system will perform the normalization because some applications send the requests that contain different type of encoded escapes. Let us say like this, escapes. Okay, even using this escape, the person can do some kind of, you know, uh, there can be some kind of in what to say, illegitimate request can be shared, right? So normalization means it will, FIASM will decode each and every request, and it will check the request, it will check the response also. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
So if there is any issue, it will stop then and there, right? Then again in your requests, couple of the meta characters like question mark, like stars, these meta characters can be disallowed, right? So very, I will give you, these examples, the meta character examples in the lab also. I will show you how these attack can be, created, and how we can resolve these attacks. That is the part of the further classes. But I will definitely show you the SQL injections, this meta character thing, okay, or maybe the cross-site scripting. These things I will show you in the lab, right? So these things can do a blunder. On F5 ASM, we have lot of techniques to disallow these meta characters as well. Okay, so these three are done. Let's talk about the insecure design. If you see insecure design, security misconfiguration, and vulnerable and outdated component, these three are bit like same, and these three are more inclined towards the application security rather than your ASM, because OAuth top 10 is not for the FI ASM only, right? This is for the web development. So insecure design is focused on the risk associated with the flow in the design and the architecture level, right?
Right.
So it focus on your threat modeling, secure design pattern, and the principles. So how you can do that? You cannot do that. There should be some defined security rules, some kind of checks, some kind of access control. In the test cases, when user is, or maybe developer is creating such an, application. Similarly, if you talk about security misconfiguration, it means some kind of vulnerabilities occurs when a web application component is susceptible to some kind of attack due to the misconfiguration or due to the insecure configuration, right?
Right.
So misconfiguration vulnerability, how you will exploit? Again, you have some kind of attack signatures or those of things, maybe where you can provide up to a level of, security, but maximum these things that user should not exploit such kind of vulnerabilities. Your team, the developer team, okay, or the application team should use those kind of resources which are not prone to the security risks. Is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
So security misconfiguration, what is showing over here, this was earlier XXE. You can see this XXE, right? So this XXE is nothing but you can say XML, external entity attacks, which means when some attacks is happening on your XML. Why? Because you are using configured weak configure, you are creating weak XML parser process. And there can be DDoS, there can be port scanning, there can be a lot of methods which can be utilized. Again, big IP ASM process can mitigate these kind of things up to a level. Like attack signatures, it can provide, it can check the normalization, it can check the allowed methods like post method or get method are allowed, but rest of the methods it is not allowing, right? But again, main thing is in the application team hand. Similar the case of A06, which is vulnerable and outdated components. As the name is suggesting that if in the, let us say, client is not giving you the proper budget, okay, or maybe due to the very high tight timelines, you need to deliver the project, and you are using some kind of component or maybe some part of the component which can be or vulnerable, right, or unsupported or out of date, so it can be exploitable. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Don't use such of the component here. What to say? So these things are more towards, again I am saying, application side. ASM, what ASM can do, again attack signature it can do, server technologies you can put depending upon different attack signature can be used, and that is how your ASM can protect it up to a level. But maximum case, this is your application team which will come into the picture. Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Let's talk about the A7, identification and authentication failures. What the mean of identification means? That you are identified or no. Authentication means either you are authenticated or no. Right?
Right.
Very general terms. So attacker may be able to exploit the identification and authorization failure, let us say by compromising the password. They can steal the keys, they can steal the session tokens and exploit the implementation flow which is into your application. Again, this is your application side also. If you talk about brute force or the credential stuffing, the very famous thing come into the part in this particular attack named as brute force. Brute force or credential stuffing. Credential stuffing. Actually, credential stuffing is the one of the subset of the brute force. Okay.
Okay.
So what is the brute force attack?
It's trying the permutation and combination of the characters and
Simple.
putting that
So
attack a number of times within a few seconds.
very simple. So when an attacker who wanted to gain unauthorized system access, right, will try all possible combination of the password and the keys,
Correct.
and they will try to exhaust your application. No.
Right.
Similarly, if you talk about credential stuffing, this is also same. This is also same. With the only difference, now attacker will use the stolen or leaked username and passwords from the online service. Getting my point? Like admin root, Cisco. Okay. So these are the stolen credentials from the web.
Right.
Both are same, but in brute force, they are using different, combination and permutation. Here, they are just using a simple database.
Right.
So for brute force attack or this credential stuffing, we have some of the techniques. I will tell you later on in our, our labs also. So don't worry. Session hijacking can be the part of it. Section fixation can be the part of it. CSRF, cross-site request forgery, can be taken into the consideration when we talk about this attack, right? So big IP WAF, or maybe you can say advanced WAF or ASM, use multiple of the attack signatures, multiple of the things which can protect your brute force at protection, credential stuffing, CSRF. These all things can be taken into the consideration. So when I was just talking about session hijacking means what? For every session, there would be a session cookie. right?
Right, sir.
So that cookie hijacking is an attack to again gain some kind of unauthorized access to the information on that particular web application. So an attacker will hijack that cookie from the user session and attempt to use that cookie for the authentication. And again, you can mitigate this kind of session hijacking. In your ASM, you go and track the cookie,
You're right.
right? So when you enable session hijacking feature in your security policy also, your JavaScript will try to find out something named as unique device ID. Okay, let me talk about. This is your client. This is coming to FIASM.
Right.
This FIASM will send some kind of JavaScripts. Now, basis on this, it will find out what is the client IP is very basic thing. Okay. Then what is the resolution of his screen? Okay. What is the maybe you can say browser he is using? Let us say if there is some hacker, this is the bad guy. Okay. Steal this cookie, come up over here. Now he is using tab, he was using mobile. Screen resolution, FIASM is already aware of. Okay. He used to say, hey, cookie changed with the another device. Even
You're right.
browser also changed. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Then and there, it will block that request. So your device ID will be get calculated from the FIASM. See how powerful it is. No.
Right.
So when you deploy your FIASM behind any of the trusted proxy, it will used.
I'll
I was talking about brute force, right? In the brute force, I was saying that let us say there is a user named as Ram. He just put 3 times. Okay, fourth time there is a wrong username and password. I will teach you in the lab that how you can put different settings with respect to the brute force attack. So fourth time he will be come up with some kind of support ID, or you can just send him the captcha. Okay, prove that you are the human. And in multiple of the banks, you are aware now 3 times they are allowing you the 3 time, 4 time, wrong password, and post that they say that okay, you are locked for 24 hours.
right.
No,
Right.
same thing, brute force. Similarly, credential stuffing, as I told you, that they are using to try to obtain the data through the data breach, right? So we'll attempt those kind of user accounts for put the injection attacks. Sorry, this credential stuffing attack, right? So what happened is in your big IP ASM, there is already these usernames and passwords are stored there, right? So if somebody is coming with those particular username and password, then it will say no, no, you are not allowed.
Right.
Then I was talking about CSRF protection. CSRF means cross-site request forgery. It is an attack, or a method you can say to exploit the pre-existing relationship of the trust and force to user do some kind of unauthenticated things. What I mean to say, let us say there is a user. This user is going to the bank side. Okay, he is doing everything and it is a legitimate request. Now there is a bad guy which come into the picture. Okay, this bad guy, instead of doing on his behalf, he will do some kind of engineering that user will click on such a link that this form which he was sending the you know like money to the person A will get sent to the person B. Why? Because he changed the form, and user unknowingly click on that form, and it will send the traffic the money to the person B. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So user is active, but user is not aware. Okay, so again, big IP system, as I told you, will use your JavaScripts. So using those JavaScripts, even it can check one of the thing named as CSRT. Okay. So when you enable this kind of feature, ASM system rewrite the URI reference. Okay. And when let us say that URI will get changed, let us say, maybe if I will give you some pictorial thing, you will able to understand. When it is sending the URL, there is a bank. Okay. In between there is FI. This bank is saying, let us say ICICI. Okay. There is a form and it just give that form. This hacker is really very intelligent. They are aware like how this form will be get constructed, what all are the parameters, what all are the URLs. Now he will modify that form, and that is the reason your web server will also will accept this, and even you user will not be able to find it out, right? But what F5 ASM will do in the last, it will put some kind of token. That token, this guy is not aware because that is a dynamic token. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
In the absence of that token, F5 ASM will say, sorry, bro, you are not allowed. Okay.
Right.
So lot of mitigation things are there. Then you can create some kind of login enforcement. Login enforcement means, let us say user cannot go to the cell page till he is not logging into the device or login into the application, I mean to say. Okay. If you are not logging into such in an application, how you can sell? You should not be supposed to sell. You should not be supposed to go to the buy. First you log in, prove yourself, show your identity. Only after that I will allow you. Like that you can put the login enforcement. Got this?
Yes, sir.